This time on Andy's Motorcycle Obsessions, we're back on the GS1000. G'day everybody and welcome back. The hills are alive with the sound of victors today. Sunny day, everyone's grass is obviously getting a bit long. So back on the GS, what I have done is pulled the airbox out, and everything on the airbox was loose, which kind of indicates to me that, look, word to the wise, if a bike's been parked for 20 years, it was probably a reason for that. 9 times out of 10, it'll be an electrical gremlin of some type, or a fuel-related issue, carburetors. But there'll be a reason why this bike hasn't run for 20 years. So it's up to us now to try and determine exactly why that might be. Now, as I suggested, I've popped the airbox off, and that gave me an opportunity. I thought I'll just go through and lift the slides in the carburetors, and you should be able to hear the air breathing in and out of this port here, which is the atmospheric port below the diaphragm. But alas, they are lock solid, which means that the whole bank of carburetors is going to have to come off and get a good soaking and a good going through. So we might as well just pull the carburetors off for now, and we'll deal with them later. Just trying to get to the throttle linkage, the throttle cable. Let's see if we can get this off of here, eh? There we go. Right, one bank of carburetors. I can stay there for now. Alright, so in order to make this, to see if we can get this bike to run, we need to go back to basics and establish all of our main engine running criteria. Air. So that means airbox, filter, vacuum hoses, anything that could give us an air related issue. Fuel, which is fuel tank, petcock, carburetor, carburetors. Compression, we need to check that, and spark. So we need to get each one of those systems to a point where it's ready to go. So like I said, we've put the fuel system to the side for now. So what I want to do is pull the plugs out and remove this side cover, see if we can't put a spanner on here and rotate this motor carefully. Alright, I've got a paint pen here, but you can use a bit of masking tape or something with the written on, but I'm just going to mark these. So this will be cylinder number 4, cylinder number 3, cylinder number 2, and cylinder number 1. I haven't had a lot of use of these plugs, but that one is useless. It's been dropped or hit, and the electrode is, the tang is hard down on the electrode, so there is no plug gap there. That one at least has a plug gap. That's pulling the thread. That one's not good. There's going to be damage. This one's okay. Put a bit of wizard's piss in there and just let it soak. While we're waiting for that, we'll just pull this side cover. Oh yeah, let's see what's lurking behind here. A damaged and bent screw. Lots of grime. I think it's got a mechanical advance, this one. Alright, I'll just have another go at this plug. Work it back and forward a bit. I can hear it, it sounds terrible. Tied all the way, it's not good. Let's have a look how bad it is. It was like there was some sort of corrosion at the bottom of the plug. Because the thread is okay, we'll run a tap through it. And the plug itself has picked up around here, but the thread looks like it survived. Lucky us. Right, 19mm spanner. Now, because the chain guide tensioner is at the back of the motor, I know that this motor runs clockwise. The XS11 runs backwards, and the sure sign of that is that the tensioner's at the front of the motor. Oh, easy. All right. Well, that's a good start. Cool. Now, as there is oil in it, now what I might try and do is see if we can jury rig that starter motor and wind it over and do a compression check. Alright, now what we've done is I've put a battery in it. So we need to determine that we've got power in the right places. So the first thing we need to do is, of course, is just check the battery. So I'll just turn this on to volts and plop this from terminal to terminal. And we've got 13 volts, thereabouts. Now, I'll just keep the earth on there. Wedge him in. Now we just need to determine that we've got power to the fuse block, because there is a main fuse, which is this one here, second from the bottom. And his job is to protect the circuit between the battery and the key. So that's your main fuse. The one below it is also should be live with the battery all the time, and that is an accessory terminal fuse. The three above it should have no power yet. So we'll just check the bottom one first. Yep, 13 volts. One above it, 13 volts, perfect. One above it, nothing, it, nothing, and the one above it, nothing. Right, so we've got power to the right fuses and the right side of the fuse block. If we go across to the other side, we should have power there as well. Yep, very good. And of course nothing up here. So now in theory we've got a red wire in here that's going up to the key, and this is someone's jury rigged this red wire. It's a horrible job. That's going into the fuse block, and from there it should be coming out up to the key. If we turn the key on, we've got lights on the dash, so we have something. We didn't let the white smoke out. Bonus. Alright, so what we need to do now is determine whether or not we've got power to these 3 fuses, because the key activates those. It puts the power back to the fuse box for these other circuits. Alright, 12 volts, 12 volts, 12 volts. Seem to be losing it across this fuse here. Might be cactus. Might just be a bad connection. Bad connection. There we go. So we got 13 volts across all of those, or near enough to it. So now what we need to do is determine whether or not, I don't know what the hell this is. I'm going to figure that out. We've got to determine whether or not we've got a starter motor that works. Because we know that the engine run wires and the rest of it are all shit up there, what we'll try and do, we've just got a solid connection straight from the starter solenoid down to the starter motor, and the starter motor is earthed through the bike, through the body of the bike, chassis earth, motor earth. So what I'll try and do is bridge across the starter solenoid to see if we can energise that starter and get it to spin over. And if we can do that, well, then we can do a compression test. Right, so we've got power to here. We know we've got power to here. All we need to do is try and get it to here. Nothing. All right, so now we need to determine what our problem is there. So we're back on the volts. Might as well just leave it up here as an earth for now. Have we got volts there? No. But what if I bridge it across? Yep, we've got 13 volts there. So now let's check that it's getting all the way down to the starter motor. Yep, 13 volts at the starter motor. Let's check if the starter motor's got an earth. Go to continuity. Yep, starter motor's earthed. So we've got a problem with the starter motor. So the best thing to do now would be just to pull that out of there, and we'll see if we can't get it to free up and get spinning. Alrighty, the best I can tell, there's a couple of screws down the back here, and this wire here, cable here obviously, and then we should be able to get that out hopefully without pulling this side cover off, but time will tell. First job, disconnect the battery. Screw, but that's right, I will get him out. Rightio, rotary hoe. Extract this one starter motor. Doesn't sound good, does it? Let's get him apart and have a look. Alright, excuse the mess on the bench. That's a bit big. That's better. And I can tell you now there's a magnet broken off in there. I'm not sure whether you can see there, but you see that one magnet that just doesn't want to play the game. Alright, so we'll try and get that armature out of there and see what we can do with it. There it is. Alright, we're going to need to try and glue that back in there, I guess. And then we'll give the rest of it a good clean up. Alright, so we might end this episode there. So we've determined that the motor actually turns over. So that's a good thing. We've determined that we've got electricity going from the battery up to the key and back, and that's a good thing. We did determine though that the starter motor is US, which means that it's going to need some love and attention. Either we need to get another starter, or I'm going to see if I can fix that one by gluing that magnet back in. And then we need to do some more tests on the starter to make sure that it's not going to ground through any of the commutator or anything like that. The standard checks for an electric motor, DC electric motor. And we'll see if we can't get the chooch. If we can get the chooch, we can do the compression test. And we can do the compression test, well, then we're that one step closer. So thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe and comment. And I'll catch you next time on Andy's Motorcycle Obsessions. Bye for now.